Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about 3 criteria for shit hit the fan guns. Okay, so end of the world apocalypse, what guns do you want to have? And this is not to say that you shouldn't have other guns besides this, but you definitely want to have the guns that I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to talk about the 3 criteria. And I have mentioned this before in other videos, but I wanted to make this a headline item. Okay, so first criteria, the gun has to be reliable. Okay, number 2, you have to have access to parts. Okay, and number 3, you have to have access to the knowledge to fix those guns when they break. Okay, so those are the 3 criteria: reliability, parts, and knowledge to fix it. Okay, so the first one, let's talk about the first one. As far as reliability, the only way that you can be sure that a gun is reliable is if it is police and military tested. So that's the first thing, right? I would not consider any guns, for a main shit hit the fan gun unless it is used by military and police. Now, over here, for example, I have a Glock 19. Okay, the Glock 17, Glock 19, Glock 22 have been used extensively by military and police, police specifically. But the experience that those 3 models have, right, does not transfer over to the Glock 43. Okay, that's not something that they, that's more of a, an off-duty carry type of gun. Now I carry a Glock 43. Okay, but again, I'm just saying that even though I have it, that wouldn't be my first choice for a shit hit the fan gun. The gun has to be military and police tested over an extended period of time. Now you might say that you have some off-brand that is, or off-model, right? Because even within the same manufacturer, you might have some model that is not used by military and police, and you might say, hey, I got like thousands of rounds on it, and it is, and that you've seen that it is reliable. But under what conditions do you shoot it on? Do you only shoot it when it's nice out and sunny? Okay, like right now, it's 14 degrees as I stand here talking to you guys. Have you shot it when it's like negative 10 degrees? Okay, do you shoot it when it's raining? Do you shoot it when it's snowing? Do you shoot it, on a really hot day? So, most people out there don't shoot guns often enough, and that includes people that go to the range every week. All right, unless you're pretty much shooting guns every day around the, and you live in a climate, right, like I am over here, where you got really cold winters, you got hot summers, you got rainy seasons, you got dry seasons. Unless you get all 4 seasons in full force and you shoot every day, you really haven't had a chance to really test those guns out. Okay, so that's why I say that the guns must be military and police tested, and we're talking about specific models. Okay, so for example, SIG 320. Okay, only SIG 320, right? Not any of the other SIGs that I'm not, and I know there are other brands like the 226 that have been used by the military, but the model that you're looking at, that specific model has to have been used by military and police. Now, just to give you guys an example with the SIG 320, that was around for some time before the U.S. military started using it. And when they started using it, they saw that it had a drop issue, right? If it fell a certain way at a certain angle, the gun would discharge, right? So they didn't discover that problem until the military got their hands on it, right? And just because they got so many people all around the world, different climates, and they got a chance to discover that problem. So that's why gun must be military and police tested and used at some point. It might be some time period ago, like let's say like a 1911, right? We could say that, hey, 1911 military and police tested, and that's fine. I can go along with that. But that's the first criteria. It's got to be military and police tested. And number 2, access to parts. Okay, so for example, Beretta, great gun. I have it. SIG 320, great gun. I got lots of guns that have been used by the military, but I don't have a box of parts like this, right, that I have for my Glock, okay? So this box over here is all Glock parts. So the thing with Glocks is even before Polymer 80 came along, right, people were into customizing Glocks. So there were lots of parts out there for Glocks. But then when we got into the whole P80 building, I mean, the parts market just exploded, okay? So there's no other handgun that you're gonna find out there that you're gonna have people with boxes of parts like this in their house, okay? So the same thing goes with AR-15s, okay? You know, even though, for example, I've got AK-47s, you know, I've got some other guns that have been used by the military, and they pass, right? They'll pass the reliability test, right? My AK-47 will pass the reliability test, but I do not have a box full of parts like that for my AK-47, okay? I do have boxes of parts for AR-15, so that's why, you know, already you guys can see what direction I'm going in, because people in the United States build Glocks and they build AR-15s. Okay, a huge market has developed for Glocks and AR-15s. Okay, now and again, let's talk to now the knowledge of how to fix these guns. So even if you don't know, right? Even if you don't have, let's say, the parts, and you don't have the knowledge to like take apart this slide and take the trigger group out, because people in this country build Glocks and build AR-15s, you'll quickly find people in your neighborhood that have both the parts and the knowledge to fix these guns when they break, okay? So again, that's why I'm coming bring you guys back to Glocks and AR-15s. And like I said, I got AK-47. You know what? I mean, the AK-47, it's not so easy to take apart. There's rivets in there. You know, there's, you know, I mean, if you come to me with an AK-47 that requires, you know, a barrel change or something, I don't know how to do it. Even with a Beretta, right? With the Beretta, I have a Beretta. I know how to do the basic field strip, but I can't just like off the back of my head, take the slide apart and start pulling the, you know, I can't pull the firing pin out. I could probably watch a video and very quickly learn how to get the firing pin out of a Beretta 92. But the problem with that is that, you know, in the SHTF, I'm not going to have access to the internet, so I have to kind of figure that stuff out as I go along. Whereas with the Glocks, because I've been building Glocks for so long, and as well as many other people, I don't need to see a video to take this gun apart and strip it down to, like, to every single part. The other thing with this is these Glocks have very few parts. They have like the least amount of parts, I think, of handguns. Same deal with ARs. I mean, they don't have that many. I mean, they do have more parts, but there's not a lot of parts in the sense compared to some other rifles I have seen out there. And at the same time, I have done it so many times, and other people have done it so many times, that I don't need to reference a video or a book or a manual to fix these guns. Okay, so I'm not saying that the knowledge might be out there, right? You might have access to the knowledge right now as to how to, let's say, not field strip, completely break down a FAL, right, an FAL. But you're not going to have access to those videos in an SHTF situation. So that knowledge has to be locked into your head. And that's where we are right now with the Glocks and the ARs. That knowledge is locked into my head, as many other people around, in the United States. We already had that knowledge locked in our heads. We've already got the parts, right, stockpiled, okay? So those are your three criteria. The gun's got to be reliable. You got to have access to parts. Right, and that include, maybe you don't have the parts yourself, but if you go out there, you'll be able to find other people who have those parts, and also the knowledge to fix the guns. Now, as far as calibers, because for example, like I mentioned with the Glocks, Glock 22 40 cal. Most people, the most common calibers that they're going to have is 9mm, 9mm, and 223, right? And particularly steel case, right? Most people stockpile steel case ammunition, so you got to make sure that your guns will run with steel case ammunition. Now, I've got guns, for example, that they're like really light recoil. I got like a light recoiling AR, but I know that I can get that to shoot steel case by just throwing in a lighter buffer weight. Okay, so that's fine. Again, I got access to parts. I have the knowledge to fix it and get it to work with steel case ammunition. Okay, so but the point is here that most of the ammunition out there that's held in huge quantities at this point, a lot of it's going to be steel case ammunition. And also, if you go to trade with people, I'm going to trade away my steel case before I trade away my brass. Okay, so expect to be receiving steel case ammunition. Make sure that your guns will run on that steel case ammunition. As far as 22s, the great thing about the 22s is, 22 long rifle is the same diameter as a 5.56, a 5.56 millimeter that these AR shoot. So the best thing to do is basically get a conversion bolt, and then your AR will also shoot 22 long rifle, and then you can very quickly build up a stockpile of 22 long rifle. Okay. Now, as far as how much ammunition that you should have, for your AR, you should have a minimum of 4,000 rounds. All right, I've said this before. 2,000 for practice, 2,000 for use. So it could be, let's say, 2,000 rounds of brass and 2,000 rounds of steel case. And out of that 2,000 rounds of brass, I would get some match. I would want, let's say, 500 rounds of that or 300 rounds of that to be match grade ammo so that you can do some distant shooting. On the 9mm side, at least 2,000 rounds, ideally 4,000 rounds. But now that's just a starting point, right? So when I say 4,000 rounds AR, 2,000 rounds 9mm, that's just a starting point. Especially if you plan to trade, right? You're gonna want to get your inventory up into the tens of thousands, right? So 50,000 rounds, right? Because if you're going to be trading, you got to have enough ammunition so that you can trade, but at the same time, be able to use yourself. So start thinking in those terms. Get yourself up to 10,000, and then from there work your way up to much bigger numbers. Okay. Now, one of the things I have heard of is that, hey, during times of crisis, it's really hard to get popular guns like AR-15s and Glocks, and it's very hard to get popular calibers like 9mm and 5.56, 223, or 22 long rifle. Okay, and the answer to that is don't wait until you're in a crisis situation. Of course, you're not going to be able to find ammunition, right? That's the stuff that you buy well in advance and stockpile it. Okay, the other counter argument I have heard is that looters are very likely to be looking for the popular guns and the popular calibers. And to that I say, hey, looters are going to loot, man. They're going to come in, they're going to just take, if they can get in there, if they find you unarmed, they're going to take everything, regardless whether it's a popular caliber or not a popular caliber. So that's just a non-issue, okay? We have to, as far as looters, we have to think from the perspective of our ability to defend ourselves against those looters, not trying to get guns or ammunition that we think might be, less interesting to them. Okay. So basically that brings us back to AR-15s and Glocks in calibers, 5.56 and 9mm. Okay. That's I think the best thing to do. And again, you gotta prepare in advance, right? You don't wait until we're in a crisis situation. I'll give you guys an example. Back in 2020, right? It became, if you didn't know where to look, finding these popular calibers, became somewhat difficult. But at that time, and there was a period in 2020 where people were saying, hey, they were going to the gun stores and they had 10mm, right? Because prior to 2020, hardly anybody used 10mm. Many years back, it had come into favor a little bit. It became a little popular. Then it fell out of favor. But in 2020, for a short time period, it seems like that was an easy thing to get. And then people were like, okay, let's all get 10mm guns. Okay, well, that only lasted for a very short period of time. And the only reason why it became popular is because it had been sitting on the shelves for so long with dust building up on it, and nobody was using it. But once that inventory sold out, then it wasn't resupplied. So in 2021, all of a sudden, it's very hard to get 10 millimeter. Okay, so don't and here's the thing: every time something like this come around, it might be a different caliber, right? So the next time you have a crisis type of situation, it's not going to be the 10 millimeter. It might be, let's say, like the 357, or it might be a 44. It might be some other caliber that all of a sudden there's a surplus of. So you never know exactly what it's going to be, and you don't want to be chasing after that. You want to basically plan ahead of time, right? Get the popular calibers. Get the popular guns, get the ones that everybody has, that are reliable, that there's extra parts to, and that people know how to fix them. Get those guns when they're cheaper to get and when they are available. Okay, a lot of times people say, well, how about just getting guns that aren't going to break, right? Well, here's the thing: I got AKs. Okay, they all break. Okay, I've broken AKs. You shoot them enough, right? This whole ground over here is covered in shell cases. Okay, I have shot out the rifling on an AR-15 at 22,000 rounds, and it might be that, hey, an AR barrel goes to 22,000 rounds, and the way it works is in that 22,000 rounds, I had gone through 3 trigger groups, and I had gone through 3 bolt carriers, not in the sense that some part in the bolt carrier broke, whether it was extractors or the firing pin, whatever, but I had to make repairs to the fire control group and to the bolt carrier group 3 times each, okay, within those 22,000 rounds before the barrel ran out. So I know the parts are going to break. I got the spare parts. Okay, now you might say, well, why not just get an AK-47 that's not going to break? Well, here's the thing: I have an AK-47 where I broke the recoil spring in 10,000 rounds. Okay, so even AK-47s, they'll break. Now, at the time, you know what? With AK, I had bought into the hype that AKs don't break, and I didn't, at that time when it broke, I did not have a spare recoil spring for my AK-47. Okay, now I was able to get online and get a replacement one, but the point is that for the AK-47, I didn't have that replacement part because I didn't expect it to break. So here's the thing: don't buy into certain guns. Don't break. They all break. All machines break. I mean, don't. I think you're way better off getting guns that have a military and police history, that you got access to parts and you can stockpile the parts, and you have access to knowledge on how to fix those guns. Now, maybe you don't know how to fix the guns yourself, but you'll find somebody else out there that can fix the guns for you. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to mention real quick, as far as trading, okay, because all the time I hear people saying, hey, they're stockpiling guns and ammunition so that they can trade. Well, here's the thing, okay, those of us that stockpile guns and ammunition, fine, we've got that for trading, but here's the thing: if you're going to trade with me, what are you going to give me, right? Because I don't need guns and ammunition, right? So you having guns and ammunition, me having guns and ammunition, we really can't trade with each other, okay? So if you want guns or ammunition from me, then you better show up with some food, or with some fuel, or some seed, or basically, because a lot of people say, hey, I got guns and ammunition, I got piles of ammunition, and I'll be able to trade. Okay, but who are you going to trade with? You think in terms of what are they going to need, all right? Because you're not going to go to people that already have stockpiles of guns and ammunition and offer them guns and ammunition, because they've got it already. They're looking for other things. Okay, so start thinking in terms of food, start thinking in terms of fuel, right? Gasoline. I mean, these are things that are not easy to store. So those are things that are going to be useful, right? So if you've got, let's say, 300 gallons of diesel, yeah, you know what? Maybe I will trade one of my ARs for 300 gallons of diesel, right? So start thinking a little bit in those terms, okay? So hope you guys enjoyed the video. I, just wanted to give you guys maybe a different perspective, in terms of the trading aspect. because a lot of people say, hey, they think that they got ammunition, so they're set. But you're not going to be able to trade if you got ammunition and the other guy has ammunition. You guys don't have anything to trade. You have to find other people that have something of value to trade with you and need ammunition. And it's not going to be the farmers. All the farmers around here have guns. They've got ammunition. So start thinking a little bit about that. Talk to you all soon.